Last week, I mentioned that I've been struggling with being bored and grumpy. And so, after feeling sorry for myself for a bit, and I decided that I needed to do something about it. I wanted to share 4 weeks worth of videos on how to get over being tired, how to feel alive again, how to find purpose and passion in your life one more time. So, last week, we talked about why we feel tired. And then I shared a few strategies on how to get over being tired. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about finding your purpose. And so today's video is a little bit longer than normal, but I think it's just got such good information that I hope you'll still stick with me. I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement. I produce a retirement lifestyle video every Monday morning. Now, I do talk a lot about finding your purpose and your passion, and yet here I am again, right in the middle of a funk where I struggle. I'm getting there because I'm working hard at it, but where I'm struggling right now finding again why I want to get up in the morning. So to get started, I think we need to go back right to the 4 stages of retirement. The first stage is typically called, this is it, woo, this is it. I'm going to travel, I'm going to golf, I'm going to enjoy life to the fullest. Typically, your emotions are positive. You're enjoying your newfound freedom. You're enjoying the lack of a schedule. You pull out your dusty bucket list and you start checking off things that you've always wanted to do or places you've always wanted to go. You maybe buy a new boat, you go on a cruise, you go hiking. You're just enjoying all of the things. Maybe it's just a good book on a rainy day. But one of the wonderful things about the this is it phase is that you have the time to do whatever it is that you want to do. There's no rules, there's no routine, there's no schedule. And I typically hear, especially at the beginning of this stage, how wonderful it is, how amazing it is to have a break from that routine. How you can just get up whenever you want, how you can do what you want without a boss bugging you, without the stress of a deadline, without having to be at the office at a certain time. And this, though, is how most people picture their retirement, one beautiful day after another, with no one or nothing to bother them. But interestingly enough, within a year or two, we find ourselves getting a bit bored. Weird enough, we seem to miss the routine. We miss having a purpose. We miss having to get up. And if you have a partner that you retired with, you may find the honeymoon phase of spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with them together has worn off just a bit. And you may find you're longing even for some kind of a structure. So this is when you know you're moving into phase 2. So phase 1 was, this is it. Phase 2 is this it? Oh my goodness, is this it? And I've fallen back into the is this it phase. So this phase can literally begin a few weeks to a few years after retirement. It can come and go at any time. You can be in the greatest phase and have all this fun, and then all of a sudden things change a bit and you're going, is this it? And that's again where I am. Often in this phase, we experience some kind of an emotional letdown where we come face to face with the reality of our daily living. This day-to-day living, it can seem like it's without a bit of direction, without purpose, without your previous identity, without structure, without many of your previous relationships, without a real plan forward. And you get up and you look at 24 hours in front of you that is empty and meaningless with nothing to do. And that's when you know you're in that is this it stage. For many of us, we were so focused in the this is it stage on having fun, on traveling, on the benefits of no structure. We didn't see this phase coming. So in this phase, there's experts that talk about the 3 Ds of retirement: depression, decline, and divorce. And just at a very high level, we'll talk about them all. The depression. Now, although the media talk about how, there's work-life balance when you're working and how stressful you are and how you have to take care of yourself, nobody really seems to talk about the depression that you go through when you retire. And I think that's because retirement is supposed to be your golden years. They're supposed to be amazing, and you've worked so hard to get there that nobody really wants to talk about them being depressed, because people will look at you and go, well, who cares if you're retired? Just go enjoy your life. And so you kind of hide that depression. The second D is decline. So for many, retirement is a time that we increase our activity. We're hiking, we're golfing, we're learning new skills, we're enjoying the fun. But also, along as we age, along as we go as well, retirement can also slow them down, both physically and mentally, and really can accelerate the decline of aging. And once again, it's similar to sort of the depression, where initially we're boosting our health by reducing our stress and increasing our downtime. But in order to remain active both mentally and physically, we really need to do a lot of work on ourselves. And then incredibly, the third D is divorce. The divorce rate for those over 65, and I didn't know this, tripled since 1990 to the point where they've actually got a nickname. They call it the gray divorce. So it's something that we really need to be aware of and watch for, especially in phase 2 when you're struggling with, is this it? There's no purpose. And I'm glad that now we're aware of those 3 Ds, but reach out for help if you need it. Now, as I mentioned, many people will go back and forth between phase 1 and phase 2, and then phase 3, and then back to phase 1, etc. So be aware that those are there and learn of where you are so that you don't get caught in any of those 3 Ds. Now, I've been in phase 1, I think anyhow, for quite a while now. I was having fun traveling. I was in Arizona. I was golfing. I was taking cruises. I was having fun with my grandkids, spending time with my parents. But this spring into the summer, I just noticed a difference in me. I was less excited to do the things I normally did. I was less excited to make an effort to do things. I was less excited even just to get off the couch and away from my phone or away from the TV. I just was kind of lethargic. And so recently I discovered this really what I consider amazing thought-provoking way to look at finding your purpose. And by the way, this is really one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do I find my life's purpose? Or how do I find not even your life's purpose like Oprah talks, but how do I find purpose and meaning in my retirement? So let's take a look at this new process. And really, I've come to discover there's just really 2 things you need to do in order to dig deep and discover your passions, your purpose, however you want to work it. And it's relatively easy, but it is work. First, let's take a look at what dopamine is. Dopamine is a chemical that's released by our brain that motivates us to do things. Dopamine is known as the feel-good hormone. It gives you a sense of pleasure and gives you the motivation to do something when you feel that pleasure, so you want to do it over again. Historically, dopamine was designed to reward you when you were doing the things you needed to survive. Now, as humans, our brains are hardwired to seek out behaviors that release dopamine. And when you're doing something pleasurable, your brain releases a large amount of dopamine. You feel good and you seek more of that feeling. That's why junk food, sugar, cell phones are so addictive. They trigger the release of that large amount of dopamine into your brain, which gives you a great feeling, and you want to repeat that experience. So if you have the right balance of dopamine in your body and your brain, you feel happy, motivated, alert, focused. If you don't have that right balance of dopamine, you feel unhappy, sad, even unmotivated, possibly tired. You may even experience memory loss, mood swings, sleep problems, and concentration problems. So if you're feeling that unhappiness or that unmotivated, if you're feeling tired or lethargic, like I am and was, but still am, you most likely have to look at where you're getting or not getting your dopamine from. So again, historically, you got dopamine from doing, I'm going to emphasize that, doing something, creating something, gathering, maybe tending to your crops, maybe sewing for your family, maybe building something, because doing, gathering, tending, sewing, building was giving you dopamine. You naturally felt more satisfied, more passionate about what you did. But today, things are so different. Today now we flood our brains with dopamine without really having to do much at all. without us even getting up in the morning or getting dressed in the morning. We could stay in our jammies. We can surf the web. We can watch TV. We can play games on our phone. We can call people. We can text people. We can even order food, all from without even getting out of our jammies or doing anything. We don't have to gather, tend, sew, build, etc. that we used to have to do. So you're probably saying, though, or I know I said, well, it's still dopamine, right? Yes, but there's a difference, because there's really kind of two kinds of dopamine. One is from consuming things, like consuming sugar, consuming alcohol, consuming your cell phone, and one is from creating or doing things. And in order for something to become your passion or your purpose or a reason to get out of bed in the morning, it has to come from the creation or doing side. So if you, like me, get your far majority of your dopamine from the consumption side, we're kind of moving into addiction, not passion. Now, according to addiction expert Dr. Anna Lemke, she says that we're all, myself included, becoming addicted to some degree to our smartphones. And she's calling them the modern day hypodermic needle, where we look at our phones every few minutes just for a quick hit, to seek attention, to see what's going on in the world, for validation, for distraction. And then despite having all of this fun at our fingertips, we're really becoming more and more depressed, because it's not the dopamine we need from doing things. We get this dopamine hit, and then it goes down, and then we want another hit, and then it goes down, and then we want another hit. So we're not actually doing anything and getting and gathering that dopamine. So once again, if you get that dopamine from consumption, it's more of an addiction. You're addicted to your phone, you're addicted to junk food, you're addicted to alcohol, you're addicted to sugar. But on the other hand, if you get your dopamine from creating, from doing, it's a passion. You're passionate about golf. You're passionate about dancing. You're passionate about farming. So now it comes to the hard part. How do we switch up where we get our dopamine from? And as much as it scares me and pains me to say this, I would recommend, and so did Dr. Lemke, recommend putting your phone in a locked drawer at least one 24-hour period every week. Now, that scares the daylights out of me, but I know myself, and I would make sure it's locked where I cannot access it for at least 12 hours, because I know during that first 12 hours, this sounds horrible, but the cravings are going to be the strongest. I'm going to want to see what's going on Twitter. I'm going to want to make sure my kids didn't call. I'm going to want to make sure, I don't know, I'm going to want to play a game. It's just ridiculous. But if you leave it at least for 12 hours, hopefully one 24-hour period each week, this allows then your brain to kind of open up and access different pathways, and then it allows you to gain insight into how dependent you really are on this form of dopamine. Whew. So I'm not sure I can do this. Once you've locked your phone up, then I would recommend moving into stage 3 of the retirement phase. Find what you love. And this is the part I really, really, really enjoy, but I can see a difference already. If I don't have my phone there, I can see a difference of how this can really make a difference in my life. So this is where you'll ask yourselves a series of questions. And then you're going to expose yourself to a bunch of different forms of creating dopamine instead of consuming dopamine. And we can start with questions like this. What motivates you? What excites you? What engages you? What do you do well? What could you teach others? What do you smile about? What inspires you? What did you love about your work? What do you miss about when you worked? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but see what you're missing, what excites you, what motivates you, and then it's time to add some of these things back into your life. It might be as simple as a good book, might be as challenging as climbing a mountain. We don't know, but join a club, start renovating, start gardening, create something versus consuming something. But remember, in this phase, you'll try a lot of things. Some will be for you and some won't. Some will work for you and some won't. Some will work right now, and then you'll get bored and have to do this phase all over again. There's no tried and true way to find these things. In fact, I had someone that literally Googled hobbies for a 60-year-old retiree, and she got a list and she went, yeah, I'll try that. No. Yeah, let me try that. Oh, I never thought of that. And she tried a few things and got involved in a few things as well. Now, if you've successfully followed the first step and gotten less and less dopamine from junk food, from sugar, from your phone in particular, then the second step really should be easier. And once you've gotten involved in creating and doing something, you'll know whether or not you actually liked what you tried and if you want to continue it and make it a passion or have the passion to do it. All you need to do, though, if you don't, is just move on to the next one and so on. But now here's me being honest. And I try hard to be honest as I can here with you. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure I can lock my phone in a drawer for 24 hours straight. That sounds so sad, doesn't it? But I'm going to commit to trying it by the end of July. I will find one 24-hour period where, and I'll have to do all this advanced stuff, tell my kids I'm doing this, make sure I have all my ducks in a row. How sad is that I need my phone that badly? But I'm going to do it one 24-hour period by the end of July. And then as I have that 24-hour period going, I'm going to get my list, and I've already started my list, but I'm going to get my list, and then I'm going to commit to either joining a club, starting a club, finding a Facebook group with something that I've wanted to always do, whatever that might look like, so I can start creating and doing something new. I hope you will come on this journey with me. I hope you will commit to one 24-hour period before the end of July without your phone, without all of these distractions, making a list and adding something new and exciting back into your life. Yikes. I hope you'll do this with me. I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement. I will let you know by the end of July how this one has gone. Please consider joining our Facebook group. We're joining a wonderful group at facebook.com/group/lifestartsatretirement, and I produce a Restart Lifestyle video every Monday morning.